Welcome to the third mini lesson of Lon-Capa. In this one, I'm going to talk about how to set parameters for your course. So here we are at the roles page, and I'm just going to pick my demo course. Now, to set parameters for your different resources, you're going to go into Main Menu. You can go under Course Management. Go to Modify Parameter Settings. Click there. So here there's lots of different options, but really the only one that you're going to be concerned about is Table Mode. Okay. Here you can do everything that you need to be able to do. Okay. So we'll select that, and there's lots of different things that you need to select and consider. So to begin with, you want to consider whether you want to set for course level, map/folder level, or the resource level. Okay. So basically for the folder level or the course level, you're setting defaults for whatever parameter it is you're messing with for that particular folder or for the entire course, which is very dangerous indeed. So I recommend not ever doing that unless you really know what you're doing. Okay, so if you want to set defaults for a folder, you can do that. Otherwise, if you want to set defaults for each individual problem, say you need to set different weights for different questions, or if there's any different parameters that you need to set for each individual parts of questions, then you'll have to select resource level. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that just for an example. Okay, the next thing that you need to do is select what is it that we want to change. Okay, so by default, that first option is selected, the all maps and folders, in which case you're just seeing everything. So by resource level, this would be a flood of things for you to change. It would be every single resource in your course, essentially. So instead, I'm going to pick one particular folder. Okay, now one thing to note when you're doing that is, say I picked something like this, where I've got nested folders, and say I have it for map folder level, okay, then, or even for resource level, then all I'm changing is for the individual resources within the selected folder, okay? Individual resources within the nested folder won't be changed, okay? So that's something to take into consideration. So let's just keep it simple and change the parameters for the individual resources within this folder that we made during the second mini lesson. Okay, and there are some multi-part questions in there, so I'll select all parts. That way you can change it part by part on the questions where that's applicable. Okay. Okay, the next thing you need to do is select which parameters you want to change. So typically I always start by unselecting all, just so that I can pick the ones that I actually care about. To see all the different parameters available, you want to hit Show Detailed Parameter Selection. So I hit that, and notice all of this mess popped up. So you can pick anything and everything that you want. If you only want to pick one, you can pick one. If you want to pick 100, well, there's not 100. If you want to pick 10, you can pick 10. However many parameters you want to change, you can change. Okay, so you can just take a look at what parameters are available to you. Okay, so you can decide when the opening date for a problem is. So that is when the students will actually see it. So if you remember for the second mini lesson, when I was trying to show you what the students saw, you'd see instead of a question, it said not open to be viewed. Okay, so unless you set the opening date, the students will not actually be able to see the problem. Okay, due date, obvious. The answer date is when you want the students to actually see the answer. So you know, typically that's the same thing as the due date, but not always. If you've got some people you're letting take later than the rest, and you don't want the answers to be available to them. If you accidentally set the answer date before the due date, then Lon-Capa automatically makes the answer date equal to the due date. So you won't accidentally show the answer before it's due. Okay, if you've got, say, like an online quiz and you only want it to be a 10-minute quiz, you can do that. Content and opening and close date, just like the problems for non-problems. What other ones are important? Weight is important. You'll definitely want to set different questions worth a different number of points. As a default, well, there's two different possibilities as a default in Lon-Capa. If, when you're creating the problem in construction space, you can, in the code of the problem, you can set whether you want the weight to be a particular value or not. If you fail to do that, or you just choose not to do that, then Lon-Capa will just make each submit worth 1 point. Okay. Another important thing is maximum number of tries. That's obviously important. That's also a parameter you can set in the code of the question itself. In fact, I know most of these, if not all, you can set in the problem itself. But I'm just going to highlight the most common ones that you'll see. Okay, so maximum number of tries. You can pick question type, whether it's just a regular problem, whether it's a survey, whether it's an exam, whatever. You can do show parts one at a time if it's a multi-part question. You can set tolerance and things like that, although that's almost always set in the problem itself in the construction space. So basically, you can just take a look through there and see what else you might want to mess around with. These are so simple, I won't cover those. I might do that as an example and question type. Okay, so I picked two different parameters. Okay, the last thing you need to set, if I go straight to the update parameter display, then I'm just going to set for everybody who has access to this course. So, you know, a lot of times you'll have multiple sections running from the same course. If you don't do anything, then you're setting the parameters for every single section within that course, every single user. Otherwise, you can use this area to determine who exactly you want to set the parameters for. So if you've got multiple sections mooching off of the same course, you can pick your section here. This is just my demo course, so I don't have multiple sections. Or say you wanted to do opening and due date problem for somebody whose immediate family member just died and you need to give them an extension. You can just type in their username there and then hit the update parameter display, and that will set the parameters only for them. Okay. But I don't want to do that. I just want to look at weight and question type for all the students in this demo course. Okay, so I hit the update parameter display and it takes me to this screen. So since I hit resource level at the very, very beginning, you can see I've got every single question. I can set the parameters different. Okay. So notice even here, body, brain weights, and animals using data program.problem. Okay. This has parts A, B, C, D, E, and F. So it has 6 different parts that you can set weights for each individual part. Okay. Typically ignore this unless you want to set a default for it, but if you wanted to set a default, then there is no reason to select all parts. For question type, again, for each individual part, we can select that. So just for example, I'm just going to pick the first one, which is not a multi-part. That's why you only have 2 options. Okay. So I'll set the weight. Notice the default is just 1. I'm going to set it. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I'll just set it for 3. You can't hit enter. You have to hit save. If you hit enter, you'll just have to redo it like I just did. The question type then, let's take a look at this. This will cover a lot of different possibilities you have in Lon-Capa. Okay. So by default, it's just going to be a standard problem, which means it's just like a homework problem that's graded for whatever weight you want it to be weighted. Okay. Another option is to choose a practice problem. And what that means is that the students will never be graded for it. Okay, um, so you can go back and set as many tries as you want them to have on this practice, and they can do whatever they want without being graded. Okay. Third option is for exam, and there will be a different mini lesson for how to set up exams. Or you can choose surveys, and there's 4 different surveys that you can choose. You can just do a regular old survey. You can do a survey where they get credit for it. You can do an anonymous survey or anonymous survey for credit. Okay. Now, this next option, new randomization for each n tries. So when you're in your construction space writing these problems using different code, you can make your problems randomized. And so here is where you can say, well, if they've tried it 3 times, they're not getting it. Let's just give them a new randomization. Change up the numbers some. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so that is setting the parameters. So now let's say I really meant to select number of tries, but I forgot to select it. And just go back up here, change parameter selection, and show detailed parameter selection, and select maximum number of tries, and then go back here and hit update parameter display. And now it's there again. So maximum number of tries, default for this one is 2, maybe I'll make it 5. Okay, whatever. So you do that for each different part. You know, you've got question types, maximum number of tries, the weights for each individual parts. For each particular problem, you've got this, etc. Okay, so that is how you set parameters. The end.